Hello and welcome to Techspace Africa, the podcast. My name is Nigel and this is the second episode. And I have a few topics I want to cover today. That is, first and foremost, the Tecno Phantom X2 launch. And then we have Starlink. And then we'll also talk about clean energy, e-mobility, and electric vehicles and how Kenya is adopting that scene. So first of all, let's talk about this Tecno Phantom X2. First of all, it looks hideous. If you have seen images of the device, it looks absolutely hideous. So in order to get a perspective of where my thoughts are coming from, I'm going to talk about mid-range devices from up-and-coming smartphone manufacturers. Let's talk about something like the Nothing phone. The display on the Nothing phone is a bezel-less flat display, 120 Hz OLED. Looks absolutely amazing, stunning. It's a mid-range device. Okay, so let's talk about other devices like the Redmi Note 10, that is from Xiaomi. It also has a 120 Hz display, OLED as well. Amazing battery, amazing cameras. It's a mid-range device. So then we come to the Phantom X2. It's priced at about 83,000 Kenyan shillings. That is premium price in Kenya. Like, not a lot of people are even earning that per month. So does the features the device have, justify this price point? I think not. First of all, the device has the MediaTek Dimensity 9000. So this is the chipset that they are selling you with the flagship, name, the tag. It's actually a pretty capable chipset. It goes head to head with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It actually beats the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 on the CPU part, but the GPU is a little below par. That is the Mali Adreno. I wish, like I said in my article on Techspace Africa, they had gone with AMD. Perhaps they would have edged out Snapdragon. But that is about a chip. That is we are talking about MediaTek at this point. So let's go back to Tecno. The device comes paired with LPDDR5 RAM, so that is pretty good. But then you take those two flagship features away and the device is completely and utterly nonsense. First of all, let's talk about the design. It looks hideous. The back of the device has a large centered camera setup with this retractable portrait 50 megapixel camera, which I hear is okay. I cannot speak on it, but the design is bad. On the front as well, the device is not good looking. It has thick bezels, both huko juu na hapa chini. It is a curved screen. I don't like curved screens, so there is that. So, but the screen is actually a 120 Hz display with it's an OLED, but it has only 505 nits of brightness. For flagship, you cannot be selling us 83,000 Kenyan shillings and you're selling us a phone with 505 nits. The competition at that price is doing way better. The mid-rangers below you are doing way better. And then we go to more features that we expect to see on a flagship device. So we expect very fast speed in terms of charging. So this device offers 45 watts. I'm going to go back and tell you about the mid-range devices. These mid-range devices are competing with other mid-range devices and they have way higher charging speeds than the Tecno Phantom X2. 45 watts is just not going to cut it at that point unless you are Samsung, unless you are iPhone, you are Apple. So 45 is just too low. There is no IP rating on the device, so we don't know if it's water resistant and dust resistant. There is no wireless charging. The device has no stereo speakers. This is something I call unacceptable in the mid-range devices these days. So you cannot expect me to recommend a flagship with no stereo speakers. The OLED screen has no HDR10. The device is pretty lacking. Other than that, you get 12 GB of RAM, 256 GB of ROM. You get a triple camera setup, that is 250 megapixels. and one 13 megapixel. In front, you also get another 13 megapixel camera. The device is being endorsed by the who is who in the Kenyan media industry, so money has been poured. People will say, maybe some people will say I'm hating from outside the club. Personally, I don't think so. I call myself a critic first before a reviewer. I think the phone is badly priced. I think slapping a flagship chipset is not all it takes to penetrate into the flagship market. You have to do way more than what the iPhones and the Xiaomis and what the Oppos are doing, because this is your first attempt. You have to be better than them. You cannot just come with a retractable portrait. Who needs that? Who asked for that? You know. So those are my 2 cents on the Phantom X2 Pro. About the Phantom X2, the one that is not the Pro version, I have no thoughts. I still think it's a little overpriced. So you can think, if this is the flagship, what about this other device which, they have cut on even more features? So I wouldn't recommend those two devices launched. But that is just that on the issue of the Tecno Phantom X2. So let's talk about Starlink. Everybody is talking about Starlink right now. If you don't know what Starlink is, US-based space exploration company SpaceX is the one which is launching Starlink all over the world by sending a bunch of satellites out of space. That is so it can offer high speeds to anyone who buys a Starlink dish, a mounting tripod, a Wi-Fi router, our power supply, and cables, and then you can access the internet from anywhere. You can access the internet from the wilderness, remote areas. Starlink wants to come after that market, give some competition to Safaricom, Zuku, and the likes. So on TikTok, I did a video. I covered the prices, but I have them right here. So you will need about 73,677 for the setup. That is for the dish, the tripod, the router, the power supply, and all of that. Then you will be paying a month. I think the first base monthly subscription will be about 13,000 Kenyan shillings. There's a premium. This you pay 314,000 Kenyan shillings one-off fee, and then you pay another 61,000 a month. Yes, and then you can also, there's also a package for RVs, but I don't think any Kenyan will be going for that. So let's talk about what this means to Kenyan providers. Over the past few weeks, I actually saw that Zuku had a downtime for over 5 days, and I saw customers were complaining everywhere about that, and I think they need competition. Speaking of Safaricom, which last year I actually was at the event, they launched 5G, and their Safaricom 5G packages are for about 15,000, which is the highest tier you can buy. 15,000 a month. You will get 100 megabits per second. This is compared to Starlink's, which is about 50 to 250 megabits per second. And Safaricom's is actually capped at 1 terabyte. So once you use the terabyte, your speeds will reduce dramatically. But on Starlink, it's not actually capped. So there is that. Plus on Starlink you can unaweza chukua na kambogi hivi, and then you pay like a couple of people, and then you pay for it without fear of exhausting the cap limit. So Starlink may be a good competition to these other monopolies. I'm going to call them monopolies because Safaricom is just there alone. Zuku is just pathetic. Let's just be honest. Zuku is pathetic. Maybe the Starlink coming into the space will bring competition and make Safaricom lower their prices, disrupt the internet supply space, and Kenyans can, enjoy faster speeds. Given that right now, people like me who rely on internet to, broadcast this podcast, gamers, people who are streaming, people who are working remotely, they need that kind of internet. So we need to see this shake up, and I think it's about time. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I know I'm moving past them, but it's because I'm alone. It's my second podcast. I'm still, my nerves are still high. As you can see, I had my soda here. I haven't even touched it. So let's talk about a little about e-mobility. I want to turn into Greta Thunberg. Sorry, Top G fans. I want to talk about clean energy and how Kenya is like shifting towards that electric vehicle phase. It's been coming. We have electric vehicles, electric taxis, electric buses. We have electric motorcycles. We have hybrid vehicles which are now coming into the space, and I think it's good for the environment. I saw Kengen is actively looking to promote green transportation in Kenya. They are talking about charging points in Kenya for these vehicles, yani helping in fast tracking the adoption of green transportation. I still think it's a little early to like wait for a revolution. This will happen maybe a decade from now, maybe a couple of years from now. But I think it's a good thing to try and move towards green transportation. But I don't think it's going to come this fast. That is what I'm saying. So yeah, but it's good to see that the government actively pushing to have green transportation as the way to go. I'm just going to touch on this. This is not like a topic I wanted to talk about. I just remembered Apple just launched the new M2 chips. That is the M2 Pro and M2 Max. So a lot of people do not know how which chip is more powerful than the other. So I'm going to like create a small table. So I'm going to tell you. The very first Apple chipset is the M1, followed by the M2. After the M2, you have the M1 Pro. So many people think the M2 is powerful than the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. It is not. Yeah, so I thought I would say that. Prices on this, on the maxed out new Apple MacBook is just crazy. It's at least $1 million shillings. So although it's not meant for personal use, I think Apple is just a menace to society in terms of markups and whatnot. I think it's pretty bad. Like I was looking Jana and I saw that their $50,000 Mac Pro, like the big workstation which they used to sell back in 2019. Right now, if you want to sell it to them, they will buy it for less than $1,000. That is depreciation of the highest order. That is over 98%. This laptop I'm using here is almost, if not older, and I'm pretty sure it has not depreciated that much. I think Apple just marks up those devices so damn high. It's pretty weird. But then again, we buy and buy and buy. So yeah, there's no problem. Anyways, thank you for listening to me mumble again about tech, about some things I think, about the Phantom, about Starlink. Will you be getting the Starlink when it comes? Do you think the Phantom is worth 83,000 Kenyan shillings? And what do you think about electric vehicles? Or would you rather the V8 and the roar and all of that mighty, noises from diesel engines and petrol engines? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you maybe leave a like, a comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the topics I covered today. Let me know what I should improve. Is the lighting good? Is the audio amazing? Let me know some of these things. Am I fidgety? And I'll be happy to improve. Thank you for listening. Adios.